And I can't wait to talk to you today. It's great to see you about,
Oh,
yeah.
I know. This is so fun. I'm so excited to be a part of it and to be on with you, Kara. And obviously, our paths have crossed multiple times, but here we are.
Here
Yeah.
we are talking about, again, Annie said it, the power of choice, my journey from wounded warrior to world champion. So incredible book. Sound off in the comments. The chat is open. Your mics will remain muted, guests, but you can ask questions as we go. We had one question from Instagram that I will get to in the course of our conversation. But if you have thoughts that come up, this is supposed to be book club. It's book club. Participate, ask Melissa questions. I will keep checking the chat. Just be a part of the conversation because I really hope that everyone enjoyed this book as much as I did. I will start off by telling you to your face that I listened on audiobook. That is my course of action in terms of consuming excellent literature. And I listened to the Iron Man section on a run on Memorial Day and ran harder, but also sobbed my face off. So thank
Oh,
you very
well,
much.
that's a good combo. That's a good combo.
Uh-huh. I'll usually, right? Try harder
Yes.
and feel the
Yes.
feels. Yeah.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, well, first question is kind of a stage setting. What kind of mindset, I'm so curious, did you get into to write this book? Like, it's so clear to me that your understanding of yourself like comes from your family. You have a great relationship with them, so you kind of always knew who you were, but maybe that was informed by them. What kind of self-discovery did you have to do to become an author?
Well, first off, I think writing a book is way harder than I think I ever imagined it would be. And my guess is a lot of authors would agree. Not only just the process of writing, but the publishing, kind of everything that goes with it. So it was a lot. So I know my story. I've said my story hundreds of times, but it was the little finer details of the story that I forgot or hadn't remembered in a while and had to kind of really, bring myself back and remember what was my childhood like? What was I feeling at certain moments? Like things that I kind of often glazed over or didn't really think about. So it was diving into these deep, like more deep into these little moments that I didn't remember often. And I had a great co-writer who every week we would get on the phone and kind of go chapter by chapter. And he would list out all these different, like, he would research this aspect of my life and he would ask me question after question. And I would tell him these stories that I often forgot about, and he would go write them. And then we would kind of work together on the chapter. So, yeah, it was just a lot more insightful than I ever imagined it would be.
I love that. And that's what I was wondering because I'm like, does she remember all of these things? Like that co-writer feels like almost a therapist in a way, like to kind of look you like your mirror in writing this book to say these moments are important in the context of like how you became who you are when maybe we as athletes are like, no, I've just always been that way. I've always tried hard, but there's like little things you can uncover with somebody else looking at your life to expose the greatness that was always there.
I agree.
But either way, you found the power within, the power to choose to keep pushing. And that's very obvious in the gymnastics realm as well. Like I remember seeing you, not to HIPAA violate whatsoever, but in sports med with your back injuries that are actually part of like that injury from a very young age that kind of kept cropping up. And that's something that not everybody understands about elite athletes too, is that these chronic injuries do stick around. Like we are going to talk about your leg, but you mentioned your back in the story of your life and like these things that you learned how to push through very early, maybe informing that choice later in life too.
And yeah, I mean, we're talking about things here again. Like I wrote the book, but has not been brought up in so long. And yes, the back injuries, and I guess you're right. I think as a young gymnast, I was so passionate about gymnastics, and I had these big dreams, and you don't want anything to stop you. And I think as an elite athlete now, it's kind of the same thing. Like you're the same, like you have these injuries, and you're like, no way, like there's no way this is going to hold me back, and you just whether it's against doctor's advice or not, like it's just like this choice of like, no, like I'm not going to let this stop me. And you kind of keep moving forward
Hmm
as
for
best you
sure.
can, at least.
Yes. Well, and you absolutely did. I relate very much to the multiple sport life that you led when you moved to Minnesota. My personal, like one of my personal heroes in sport, I have so many, especially as women, but Stacy Dragila was the original Olympic gold medalist in the pole vault. And you mentioned like pole vault just being allowed in high schools. Like I remember that life as well. I'm 39 years old, very similar time period. And so to just like
Yeah.
be able, me to be surrounded by humans like you and Stacey, who are such pioneers in lots of different ways, is super cool.
It is. I think probably if you took a lot of our stories, there's a lot of similarities where in some sense, whether we realize it or not, we were kind of pioneers. Or, I mean, back in the pole vaulting days in high school, it was the first year that girls were allowed pole vaulting, and we had to wear helmets. The guys did not. And looking back, I'm thinking, like, why would we have to wear helmets and they don't? But at the moment, we were so excited just to be a part of it. We didn't really think about it. And now it's like you look back and it's like, oh, that probably wasn't right. That wasn't like we all should have worn helmets, or no one should have. But yeah, kind of being pioneers in our own way.
Hmm. So lean into that a little bit for me because one of my favorite stories from Paris was your teammate who you started in the sport, Haley Dance, winning the Paris gold medal in the triathlon in your classification. So you were also there, which I want to talk about because it's incredible. You put the race of your life together to qualify for Paris. But Haley, speaking of you being a pioneer, like you played such a huge role in her gold medal, in her silver medal in Tokyo, in her silver medal in Rio. Talk about that leadership a little bit, like lean right into that. I know that it can be hard. You're the pioneer. You want to be on top. You're competitive. But what does it mean to you to have led these girls, women?
I mean, honestly, you just like I still get chills thinking about it. Like Haley winning a gold medal in Paris was like my favorite moment of it too. Like, so I mean, Haley, for example, I don't know if I think we might talk about her a little bit later, but I was there. So Haley, my teammate, I was there for her years and years ago when she first started in the sport. So I have a nonprofit called Dare to Try Para Triathlon Club. I co-founded it, and she was an athlete of ours. Like soon after her injury, my co-founder Carrie Sirota, she was an intern. She's like, you can be an intern if you do a triathlon. I met her. She's an above the knee amputee like myself. I was there when she got on a bike for the first time. I was there when she used clip-in pedals. Like my husband now makes her running legs. Like there's this long history there. And at the time, we had no idea that many years later, we'd number one be on we would compete in three Paralympic games together. Like, oh, of course, we had no idea. But having it taken its course and now thinking back to the beginning and where it all came, and I'm just so proud to have played a part in that. I mean, it's this fulfillment of, yes, of course, I want to be on the podium. Of course, I want that gold medal also. But I feel like her gold was like, I felt it too. I felt it, not just as much as she did, but it meant just that much. And to be able to cheer her on the race course and just like where it all started. Yeah, I think to be a pioneer in something and to see it succeed it's incredible. It's like an incredible feeling to have.
Hmm. And I remember the story of you helping her fix her goggles right before Rio,
I
really
did,
stood out to
yes.
me as I listened a couple different times. So one of my favorite things about teammates in sport and competitors, like as a javelin thrower, my competitors are also my teammates too. Like you're on Team
Hmm.
USA, but it's this individual sport. You call triathlon a team sport, and I think like there's no defense in triathlon or track and field. Like you all have your own chance to shine, especially in the field events. Like we take 1 minute at a time to take a turn at glory. There's nothing I can do about someone else's performance, and you just have to outrace the other people. So if you're a jerk, it's on you.
Yeah.
If you don't appreciate the role that other humans play, like in your career, it's on you. And knowing Haley personally, I know how much she appreciates your role in her life as well.
Thank you. Yes. It's just so true. I mean, we all go out, we all want to win, we put in the hard work. You want your hard work to pay off. You want to be on top. But you see how much work everyone else puts in as well. And it doesn't, it doesn't mean that she put any, like her race all came together when it was supposed, I don't know. It's just cool to be a small part of that.
Yeah. And you are still the pioneer. I was so struck by your tenacity in absolutely everything that you've tried from being a young girl to after. I want to discover and like talk about a little more of the things in terms of power of choice that fed into that. As someone who is married now, there are just many times in reading about your first marriage where like I can read between the lines. I'm like, what anger was there in this moment that we're not reading about, right? But I just want to commend you for your ownership of your own choices, like throughout all of that, because knowing that like this is your real life, you're writing a book, so you're telling us about the positivity, but we all know that in the moment, like those are really, really tough things to go through. But there's so much positivity in the book to choose to focus like on how good you have it, how you can move forward, all of those things. And my most compelling ones were the power of choice in the negative moments. Like you describe your choice to leave flight school. You chose to get married. Like you were in that helicopter too, and you said yes. You get to choose to move forward like with Jake right by your side, the dog after the divorce. And I just was like so struck by the healing that you had to do personally and out loud in this book to say like that was an important part of my life. And to heal and move on, I have to own my own choices. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's not always easy, first off. I mean, these choices were not easy ones. I mean, all the ones that you just alluded to. I did get married young. I ended up getting divorced, and it was hard at the time, but like I think time, I don't want to say time heals everything, but time really helps. So when you look back in the moment, they were really difficult decisions to make, but some decisions, I think the more we make these hard decisions, the more you realize that hard decisions are okay sometimes. And those were some really hard decisions. The decision to leave flight school after I'd fought to be, after I'd fought to go there. And looking back, I think about those choices and I wonder if, like, were they the right ones? I mean, I don't know. I like to think I can't go back and I can't change them. So might as well like accept them and move on because in that moment, that was the best decision for me. And they are not always easy. They can be really hard, but as time goes on, you look back and you think about like the power of them and what they meant for you moving forward. And it doesn't make it any easier. Like it's hard. Life is hard. Decisions can be hard. And
Mhm.
like that's okay. I think embracing the hard and choosing hard decisions like sometimes leads us to where we want to get.
Hmm. Absolutely. Because something else I wrote down is the idea of toxic positivity. I have been, I guess, accused of this in my life before. And I'm like, well, no, I'm just choosing to look at the little victories, like as what they are, as little
Mhm.
victories. If that's toxically positive, like it's not true. It's recognizing momentum in a way that like other people like you stranger who has like accused me of this like don't seem to recognize like maybe you should try it like seeing those little things add up over time because like the other choice to not recognize those it's a bummer. It's a real bummer. Like why do you want to live that way? I don't get it. Yeah.
I had never heard that term toxic positivity until probably 2 years ago. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, wait, I had to kind of ask them, like, I don't understand. Like, what do you mean it's toxic to be? And they kind of described it as it's like a fake positive. Like you walk in and, everyone's exhausted and tired and you've been training, for 20 hours that week. And we're like, we can do this. Like, you got this. And like, but that's like really what I'm thinking. So
Uh-huh.
I think some might see like that positivity as like annoyingly optimistic or like annoyingly positive, and it's it's. I mean, I like it. I think it depends on your personality. Like some people like it, some people don't. And
Uh-huh.
if we're that positive and others don't like it, well, I mean that's not our fault. Like if
Mhm.
that's what we need, then like let's just go for it. Let's embrace it and choose to see these little positive things. Like, well, aren't we glad that we're alive? But like we are,
Literally.
right? Like, I don't
Literally.
know.
Yeah.
It helps me kind of in those moments where you feel tired, you feel down, and having that, whether it's positivity or whatever you want to call it, like whatever helps you is a way. I mean, that's the way to success.
Hmm. Very good. Yeah, same. And you have to feel your feelings too, which we'll get to for
Oh,
sure.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Northern Lights on the plane to Kuwait were like such a jarring and cool thing for me to listen to because, like I said, I listened to the book like 3 times to prepare, and I've never seen them. I've tried. Like it must have been like you described it so beautifully that yeah, just this like nature's show. The world is so big. Like it's this sign that you are doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing. You've made this hard choice and you are living it through and getting rewarded for um yeah, being with your fellow soldiers and like going on this path. So I just thought that was a really cool thing. And I'm also a little bit jealous. I have a lot of friends that have seen them from planes, so that's really fun.
Oh,
I aspire to it. Yeah.
it was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know like if everyone listening has, I mean, I don't know if everyone's read the book or not, but you know, the yeah, the quick background is on the way over to Iraq. I mean, we're all in our gear. I mean, we have our weapons on the plane. We have our all of our gear on and the pilot, I was sitting near the front and the pilot kind of comes back and he's like, anybody want to come see the Northern Lights? You can see him from the cockpit. So he brought some of us up to the cockpit and here we are flying over to the Middle East in our, you know, in our army fatigues. And here we are looking out at the cockpit and it is just, the Northern Lights are just like these incredible vibrant colors. And it was just like in the moment of where we're going and what we're seeing and just like the world. So it was, I think the moment, just where we were going made it that much like more meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely. The serendipity of things like that is something
Yes.
that really struck me too. So I want to talk about that with your big races for sure. I also was thinking on that plane ride about the parallels between like traveling as a soldier and traveling as an athlete. So like you're describing looking at the map on the back of the seat with your fellow officers up front and seeing the Northern Lights, sure, but like I'm just the way you described it, there was so much like preparation for the future, visualization for what you were going to do. Like there's no like Abbott Elementary on the back screen of the screen of the seat in front of you. You know, like you're as an athlete, like I'm always looking to distract myself, like be watching something entertaining, like just the juxtaposition of those two travel experiences was so interesting for me to think about. I am not a soldier, I don't know, but just the seriousness compared to traveling as an athlete, but maybe also visualizing what the task at hand is. Like I'm just curious about your experience traveling in both scenarios.
I think as a soldier, it's almost like this not bittersweet. It's a surreal moment. You're on this plane with, you know, hundreds of other people, all soldiers who are going over to a war, and it's not like you're not thinking about what's to come, but you're just kind of in the moment because you don't know what to like. I don't know. I had no idea what was to come. And we actually stopped in Greenland to refuel, and we all filed off the plane. We all get Starbucks, and I remember this, like, we're in the airport in Greenland, like all in our desert, you know, fatigues, drinking a Frappuccino before we get back on the plane after the plane refuels to go land in Kuwait. So it's things like that, like, we had no idea what we were going to walk into. Like, we had seen things on TV, we've heard things on the news, but until you walk in and step off that plane and like the heat hits you, like the weight of your equipment, everything, you have no idea. And I think like you turn that over to like a Team USA athlete and you know, I got my Team USA gear on, you know, it's similar yet different to the military uniform, obviously, but I'm traveling with all my teammates. We're all going over, but you go to one race and you kind of know what to expect. You kind of know what you're going into. But like we had no idea. There was just so much unknown.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And maybe if you're a young athlete, you don't know what to expect, but now you have been a leader for so long in all of
Yeah.
these spaces that you're looking at it from a different lens.
Right.
Thank you for
Right.
sharing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I to echo what you just said, the uniforms are very different. I have been told, as someone who trained at the Air Force Academy for 9 years, I have one of my training partners went into Air Force Special Forces after he was done being an athlete. Like I'm so proud of my veteran friends, including yourself. But I have been told in like public gyms when I'm wearing a Team USA piece of gear, thank you for your service. and it's so jarring and I don't like it. And I'm like, nope, not for me. Like that is not something that I get to be told because it's not quite appropriate. So you pointing that out, like I always defer to military members who have served, and like I just respect it so much. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I have heard that from a lot of other, Team US, like, and especially younger athletes, especially like with disabilities, they think that they're wounded veterans and this, the public in the airport says, thank you for your service. And I've heard some say people say it so much that I just say you're welcome because it's not worth explaining or it's just like this. Yeah, it's gotta be interesting when someone says that and like just
Yeah.
what do you say? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. And but it's very clear to me, and I didn't know coming in like how distinct your identities are, right? Like you talk about doing cadences on your wedding run with your bridesmaids and stuff, and like the very clear proud to be American moment at your wedding to Brian and all of those things. So the identity is obvious, like that you're very proud of it, but I just didn't know how distinct like veteran Melissa and athlete Melissa are. And it seems like one and the same and a very unique set of like pride and joy in both identities.
They're similar yet different, military values. I wore military uniform. I still feel like I represent those values as a Team USA athlete. A lot of those things I learned in the military set me up for success as an athlete. Wearing a uniform to defend our country and then another one to represent it. So they're very similar, very different, yet very similar at the same time.
Mhm. Very good. Okay, let's get into. I've skipped over college. Like I will kind of get to that because it's like some of the themes for me in your book and your life are the incredible relationships that you've brought with you from childhood to now. And college is part of that. Like your mention of like these remain my best friends like to this day at multiple points throughout the book is so cool. And having known you just a little bit from afar, like people gravitating to you, that doesn't happen unless you gravitate back. So you foster those relationships, and I want to keep talking about them throughout. But in Iraq, you tell the story in the book of losing your leg twice, of the IED two times. So it's the opening story in the book, and then you tell it again 3 weeks into deployment on this convoy. Are you intentionally doing that, like reliving it with the reader? Does the story and the experience like continue to relive you sometimes? This is the morbid curiosity part of book club, right? That like
Yeah.
you emphasize the story twice. So like let's dive into the story a little bit. Is it a way to like get the reader to be like, this was huge, even though there's so many other reasons that you've like pushed through it so well, but I want you to like get to marinate on it a little bit if you want to.
I think the first one is almost to draw the reader in. I think when you write a book, you have to be a little bit strategic about what is placed where and how do you kind of draw the reader in to want to continue reading. So I think that is kind of why it's kind of in that beginning spot. But then as the story unfolds, it's almost beneficial for the reader or me as a writer to almost go through it again, maybe in it with a little bit more emphasis on certain areas because that is where we are in the story. But it's something, I mean, again, I have said my story hundreds of times, and I feel like almost every time I say it, something else pops up or a different memory comes in, or even like it's just like it's like such a very important moment in my life and defines so much of it that it's almost like the more I tell it, the more I kind of feel it myself also. So I think in a book, yes, you want to draw the reader in. That's kind of what grabs them, but then you want them to kind of see what came before, and then you let them read it again so they can kind of take that in, just like I do as I retell it over and over.
That's so interesting that you keep reliving certain parts. You mentioned in talking about choice a little bit, like what if you had gone to flight school? What if you had done X, Y, and Z? Like, would you still have lost your leg? Maybe that's what I'm reading into it, right? And it would be
Mhm.
natural for anybody to wonder things like that. So, in listening the couple times, there was no door on the Humvee. Like it got taken off. There's the pedestal stand, but you described the canvas doors. So, my thought is, Is there some version of inevitability that comes with like rethinking this story? Now you've lived with it for 20 years. I want to talk about Little Leg's 20th birthday. But is there this like feeling of inevitability? Like we make choices, they're the best ones we do at the time. Would Canvas have made that much of a difference in the IED blast, right? Like, are those things that you think about?
You think about them, but not for long. I think you can always go back in life and when things happen and say, well, what if this, or what if I hadn't have chosen this, or what if there had been a door in my vehicle? What if that pedestal mount wouldn't have been there? But the reality is, it happened. The door was not on. I had the pedestal mount on. I made the choice to leave flight school, and I found myself in Iraq. Like the choices I made, I made them. I can't go back. I can't change them. I honestly, I couldn't change the fact that I lost my leg. It's not like it's going to grow back. So
Hmm.
it's like the acceptance of it, the acceptance of the choices that we make. I think it's okay and it's natural to go back and be like, well, what if I would have done this, or what would I be doing? But it's only a brief moment because it hasn't happened and it's not going to happen. So it's like, let's just accept where we are and then move forward from here and make choices from here that will obviously affect where we are in the future. So it's so easy to go back. I don't do it that often because again, there's really no point in it because I'm here. I'm very proud of where I've come since then. So I kind of choose to like see the good about it and see where I've come.
Hmm. That's amazing. And I agree. I've had reason to read some about comebacks in sport. So like you've done that multiple times, had multiple kids, like made those comebacks. And at USA Track and Field National Championships, a couple weeks ago, there were incredible stories of like people away from the sport for 3 years. And something that I really think is so cool about what you said, what I've been through with my own, by comparison, extremely minor injuries, things like that, are facing the reality of the situation and making choices to move forward. So that is like literally the science of the comeback is like, what is reality? How do I change it? And here I go. So you can always like wonder about the path that you took. Maybe it does inform how you face that reality in the future, but it's about reality and making choices to move forward.
And I think something that you said, just like, was it, and like, did I think it was inevitable that like maybe I was gonna like lose my leg, and maybe if it wasn't from a roadside bomb, maybe it was from something else. And I don't know if I agree that like life is chosen for us or what we get is our hand, but there's some part of me that thinks, I always wanted to fly. Like I went to flight school. I wanted to fly. And there was another soldier who lost both of her legs a month after I lost mine at the hospital. Like, would that have been me? I don't know. It's so hard to say that, but like maybe this was just what my life was going to be because I don't know. I don't know if that helped with the situation, but I thought about that sometimes.
Yeah, and that's another the serendipity thing for sure. Like that's
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. So let's keep going on the leg. When did you first look at Little Leg? Because you described not looking at it for a very long time. Do you remember?
I don't remember. I know, I don't think I know. I didn't even look down probably till I got to Walter Reed, which was a week after I had lost it. And it was in all these bandages. And I would look at the bandages and obviously I would see in the sheets, a leg was gone, but they would come in and they would change those bandages pretty often. And I'm very like, I'm not like, I don't love blood. I don't like the sight of like gruesome injuries. And
Hmm.
and it was my own. So I think, I mean, I don't remember the first time I did it, but I remember it was very hesitant, not quite sure what to expect. I don't think I liked what I saw right away. I mean, my leg was stitched up and there was very visual, vivid pictures of what it looked like underneath that I could have looked at. And I have never, if they're like in a secret folder in my computer that's like locked, because I don't think I want to see those.
Hmm.
So I don't remember when I first looked at it. It definitely was not right away. It took a while. I still don't, I mean, I have pictures of the stitches and I'm not a fan of seeing it.
Melissa, I tore my ACL at Olympic trials in 2012, and I did not watch the video for 4 years. So
Wow.
your answer
Wow.
is much sooner than I believe that I would have looked at
Wow.
Little Leg. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Um, and I think that question is about the reality of it all, like, and what is that process? Like, it is obviously okay for it to take as much time as it needs to take. So I was just curious. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did so like you describe having each other's backs, like you described Renina Miller coming in the first night that you were in Germany, and holding your hand, and that's incredible. But just that simple having each other's backs idea is like soldier mentality. And
Mhm.
I feel like you learned that from your mom, your family, maybe, because the way that you describe her coming to grips with your injury, being there, and then communicating to everybody that you knew, like family and friends, about what had happened and gaining strength through that, just like is such a clear example of her having your back, like doing the communicating for you. And like having the backs of all of your friends, like letting people know, like, this is what Melissa is going through and this is how you can support her. So, can you talk about learning from your family, what that means to have each other's back?
I have been so fortunate in my life to have such an incredibly supportive family. You know, growing up, my mom was involved in everything. My parents were always there. If I ever wanted to, try something new, there was never a no, we're not going to do that. It was a, yeah, let's give that a try and let's see what happens. So it was this constant, just like yeah, exactly. They had my back, and whatever happened, was I going to succeed? Maybe. Was I going to fail? Maybe. But whatever happened, they were always there to either pick me up or to be there cheering me on with whatever it was. And I've, been so incredibly fortunate to that was my family and moving forward into my family now, my parents, my kids, there's one right there. My friends, I mean, some of my friends now are some of my I mean, they're like my family. I know that they have my back, and I could not have gotten where I am now without them believing in me, being by my side, cheering me on the sidelines, babysitting my kids, like all these things. Like, we can't do life alone, and I've just been so fortunate in my life to have what I have.
It's very clear in the book, and even in sharing about this opportunity on Instagram. Like, we're sharing these posts, and then all of a sudden I see all of Melissa's friends like resharing that post. And that's such a simple thing. It seems so silly in this world of social media, but it's not silly. Like, it's support, it's having your back, it's showing that they're there for you. So,
It
very,
is. I agree. And I see many of my friends on here today. So thank you, friends, for
yay,
tuning in.
very good. Um, we've talked about, like, I relate so much to the power of positivity. I took a ruler to my own leg when you described amputation number two, 6 extra inches after your infection. So my hard question is, was that your lowest moment?
That was a pretty tough moment. I was being discharged from the hospital. I thought I was. And then we had a routine MRI to make sure everything was good to go. And they found that an infection had traveled 6 inches up my bone. And I had to go back in. Instead of being discharged the next day, I had to go back into surgery. And they had to take 6 months, 6 months, 6 more inches off of my leg. So, well, yes and no, because a low moment, absolutely. But also, I had been through it once. Like, I almost, not that I knew what to expect, but I had been through the recovery. I knew what it was going to look like. I saw the stitches. So like I had been through it once. So it almost, not that I wanted to go through it a second time, but it prepared me to do that. So a low moment, absolutely. The lowest, I don't think so. Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy, but I don't know if that was like the lowest.
Yeah. Expectation, yeah, is huge. And again, like, by comparison, no big deal. But when I tore my ACL the second time, people told me it's easier. And I was like, that's
Oh,
crazy. You're
yeah,
crazy. Like,
yeah,
there's no way. Like, I'm devastated. And then it
right,
was easier. So
right,
I thought
right,
about
right.
that a
I
lot.
could, I could see that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, very good. I was wondering too, when you do get discharged from the hospital, is there any version? I'm sure that some soldiers have attachment to that experience. Like, I know enough people that have been through Walter Reed, actually, to know that that's not necessarily true. People want to get out of there, but some people like get a real sense of community, and the life on the other side is hard. Like, the reentry part is really hard. hearing about your painting classes, like the time it took to get to dates and to the parking area outside the painting class, like is a hard thing. So was there any version of like reentry that was difficult? I'm not ready kind of feelings.
I was ready. I think that, but the transition from military to civilian life is it's hard because number one, the military is such a strong identity and the team and the camaraderie, and you don't know what life is going to be like outside of that. But then at Walter Reed, it was a sense of camaraderie with other wounded veterans, and you really find your sense of belonging there. And you're surrounded by all these other wounded people, and then you go back to your hometown, or you leave the hospital, and then suddenly you're the only one that has a disability that you can see for miles around you. So
Hmm.
it's very, very different. And I feel, again, we talked about team, we talked about having each other's back. You know, I was married at the time to my first husband, and he, I mean, I gave like he was so supportive, and he really helped that transition. It made it my transition so much easier just doing it like with him, and just him having him help me find things that I can go do, or doing them with me, or just kind of having that, that person.
Hmm. Yeah, incredible. And that's so clear in the way that you like appreciate his role in that part of your life.
I
I
do.
really
Yes.
respect that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Also, like swimming, I want people to understand how fast 5:03 for a 400-meter swim is. It's very fast. I swam in high school and I read that and I was like, excuse me, Melissa, that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's an American record, but uh, the part that struck me was it felt completely normal after losing your leg. I loved that you were just like who you'd always been in a pool, especially like in Paralympic swimming becoming your first event, your debut at the Paralympics after the story as a little girl, like finishing one length of the pool with everybody cheering around you. Like that
Yeah.
must have been so healing to get in the pool the first time.
So healing. And for any other swimmers out there, the water, it just has this like healing effect. And I mean, others, people that are swimmers, yeah, you might agree, but it's kind of, I got in, almost forgot as though I was missing a leg. And it was just this place of peace. It was this place of healing. And I mean, I'm not in it near as much as I used to now, but I love it. Every time I'm in it, I had that feeling.
I've thought about open water swimming, and I'm sure like to be out in nature and like open water, it would be so fun. Yes. Um, and then in swimming alongside a fellow Paralympic hopeful, I'm not going to remember her name, but swimming, especially when you got to Colorado Springs and you had those races that were for Paralympic qualification, the one that you needed to beat to make the team, to get the cut.
Yes.
Um, you described the her congenital disability versus your can I say earned disability,
Um,
maybe
acquired.
acquired disability.
Yeah, acquired disability.
And this is like I will just expose myself as this like ableist mindset, right? Is that I have known Paralympians for a long time. I've trained alongside them, yourself being one of them. I love to joke about how there's more prosthetic limbs in the gym than backpacks. Like that's just like the reality of the situation. And I really appreciate like the perspective. But as an able-bodied athlete, I've always thought like, wouldn't it be easier, this is the ableist mindset, to have been an athlete prior to injury? And the way you described it, like easier in terms of like learning the mechanics of athleticism after injury. And the way you described it is she's born with her disability, so she knows it better and she's more able to use it. And I was just like so struck by the opposite of like what I would have thought. And I have talked to other Paralympians about, but I just thought your perspective was super interesting.
It probably depends on, who you talk to, or so my mindset was, so I acquired my injury at the age of 24. And I'm learning how to do all these new things as a new amputee, including swimming. And it was, I wasn't in the swimming world long before we had the trials to make the Paralympic Games. And I was competing. Most of my competitors they were born with their disabilities, which means that they had been living and training with them for however many years. So, not that it was Yeah, I don't really know. I guess in my mindset, it was like, okay, I'm having to play catch up with them because they know it, they've learned it, they've lived with it, and I'm trying to not only learn my life, but to learn kind of everything else with it. So, looking back, I don't know if it's necessarily a benefit by any means, but in my mind, I was just having to play more catch up.
Yeah, and I'm sure that every experience is unique. Like we're all unicorns, so that's very normal. But thank you. I reading your perspective, I was like, I might have been completely wrong, and that's okay. Like I love being able to learn alongside
No,
fellow
no, I
athletes.
don't think you're wrong. You're never wrong. Really,
Yeah,
just different of opinions on all
yeah,
of
I
us,
guess,
right?
yeah. Um, I also am always aware of Danny Arovich says this that the disability community is the only minority that anyone can join at any time. So I'm like very conscious of that.
I like that.
Mhm. Skipping to the Colorado Springs Olympic and Paralympic Training Center. I trained there for many years as well. And your perspective on like you're there as a wounded veteran the first time you got to train there. You recognize it as this place for excellent athletes. I better become an excellent athlete. Like I loved that, and I related really hard to that when I moved to Chula Vista after college. So, it's just that's just a comment. Like it's clear that you did that. 503 again for 400 meters is wild, and I know that the community that you were around was a big part of that too. I was always starstruck by
Huge.
Michael Phelps as
Yes.
well.
Yeah. It's funny, 503, like it sounds, I don't even know, I could never do that again. But now like the times are even faster. It's amazing. It's like they're like sub five and 450s, and it's like mind blowing.
We moved
Um,
to Colorado Springs 9 weeks post out my first ACL from Chula Vista, so sea level to altitude.
oh
And
wow.
50 meters is the Paralympic size pool.
Yeah.
That's very far. I swam in a 25-yard short course pool in high school. So I was doing rehab and I tell stories all the time about like I thought I was going to drown in that pool. It's 9 feet in the middle. Like it was not okay. Yes.
Right. I see that. I still have a hard time going upstairs at the altitude, and it's been
Yes.
years. Yeah.
Right. So Beijing, you made it. You got to go to Beijing 2008. We had our first games both in Beijing, and I
Woo.
love that. Yeah. You describe not wanting to listen to headphones, like you're super focused. I think this like mindset part of it, I'm really curious if you look back and you're like, if I approached it differently, would it have changed? Again, you made the choices that you made. They were the best ones that you could, but I'm wondering about like your focus only attitude in Beijing and how that changed over time. Like it's clear that it did. You expanded your world, you had your kids, like you kind of changed your perspective. But that like it's over so fast. I think in my career about like what did I miss in terms of relaxation and trusting myself? Do you have any of those thoughts?
I don't think in Beijing that would have changed anything. In the waiting room, all these athletes listen to headphones or they're in the moment and they're in the zone. And I didn't do that. I just kind of like took it all in. And but being in the zone, I don't think that would have changed anything at that time.
Mhm.
And like looking back, I think what happened in Beijing, was supposed to happen then. It was really hard at the time. I mean, this was the biggest race I'd been to in my life, and I didn't do well athletically, and I just felt really like I let everybody down. But looking back, that was supposed to happen. So no, I don't think. Obviously, over time, I have learned a lot more about myself, what works for me. Again, to choosing to like live in the moment, like there's a joke that I was like the happiest fifth place finisher because like I was. So yeah, I think you just kind of you learn yourself, you learn what works for me. And at the time, I mean, I didn't know what worked for me. I did what I thought I was supposed to do, maybe.
Hmm. Yeah. And well, that's all we can do. I was 22 in
Hmm.
Beijing. I did the
Oh
same.
yeah.
I threw like
Yeah.
8 meters less than I had thrown before that. So relatable. Um, the yeah, experience of I want to touch on this really fast. I didn't put it in my notes, but the experience of being closing ceremonies flag bearer.
Huge.
Incredible.
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, not only, so typically carrying of the flag bearer is reserved for someone who has done really well athletically. And obviously I had not. So when my team USA, teammates chose me to represent them, the closing ceremonies, carrying the flag in, it just taught me an enormous lesson that like the journey to get there like meant so much. Like not just for me, but for them also. And it's really kind of carried over into my life also. Like the journey to get someplace whatever it may be. Is that an athletic event? Is that a finish line? Is it someplace in the business, like whatever it may be, like the journey to get there sometimes is just more important than any end result. So it was a massive lesson. And looking back, I mean, so cool. Like, I mean, I've got my first Paralympic Games and I got to carry the flag in and just, yeah, so cool.
Because your peers chose you to do it. Like that's the
Exactly. And
thing.
that's like
Yeah.
makes it even better, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
incredible. And it changes, I agree, your perspective on everything for sure.
Mhm.
So you leave Beijing, you love Brian, you want to have a kid, like you do all these things, you start your company, you try triathlons for the first time, like you'd already done all of these things, like the casual marathoning. I think the most hilarious thing to me about like all of your endurance activities is like I have friends who suffer through the endurance activities as well. Like you joke in the book, people pay to do this when you're
Yeah.
doing the Ironman.
Yeah.
Like that's
Like,
one of
why do
the
we do that? Right.
it's one of the most hilarious like conundrums about endurance athletes that I think is out there. The irony of like, why do people pay to do this?
Mm.
What am I doing out here? But the tenacity like remains, the restlessness remains. You have to start the company and go after the prosthetics dreams and get married and have Dallas and like come back when it's clear that triathlon is a thing. But I want to talk about the serendipity of World Championships, you winning back in Beijing, getting first place. Budapest was on September 11th as well, right? Is that the thing? And you got bronze?
Rio was in
Okay.
Rio. Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
World Championship
Yes.
triathlon, though, you
Yep,
win
World
in Beijing.
Championship. So my very first World Championships, yep, back in Beijing, and being able to do well enough to win my very first World Championship gold. And it was kind of this redemption of Beijing of I came here once, didn't do well athletically, but I came back and now I won. And take that, you know. So
Mhm.
it was very much like a full circle, like, yeah, I just won. And then yes, I mean, then you fast forward a few years to September 11th of 2016
Mhm.
in Rio, bronze medal, one of the greatest moments of my life, a USA sweep, three American flags go up as we heard our national anthem. My family there, my friends there, you know, coming home, putting the medal around my son Dallas's neck. I mean, I still get chills. I will forever get chills thinking about that day, like the monumental part of it, like showing on the podium. I mean, we showed the world the power of the American spirit, how much ability was in a disability. And then it was just, I mean, it'll go down as one of the greatest moments of my life.
It's one of my favorite pictures to see around the training center for sure.
Yes,
But
mine too.
kind of starting with, yeah, starting with that World Championship in Beijing, the serendipity of it and the meaning that you can attach. Like, you know, September 11th is obvious for you in your life and for many Americans in terms of pride for sure, but you do find ways to find meaning like in other races. Like you create meaning out of carrying the American flag over the line no matter where you are. You create the kind of serendipity around the races that you've participated in, how you're attached to other athletes like that are on the starting line. Like, can we attach meaning to anything to spur us on, or do you like actively look for those signs from the universe? Like, are they obvious? Are you creating them? Is that part of like the power of choice to find extra motivation like in those layers?
I think you create them. I think I mean, it's so easy to, I mean, an example, it's so, sounds so silly, but like walking down the street on a walk, you can just sit there, you can walk, or you can, I mean, like life is beautiful. Like, and there's inspiration, I mean, everywhere. Like the beauty in the way the leaves, you know, blow in the wind. I mean, it's truly everywhere. You just have to like look around and notice it. And I think in those moments, there's always a story in your mind that can help you with that extra motivation. There's always a person that I can look over into the stands and see my best friend there, and she's been there like through every single race, and there she is again, and she is screaming my name, and I know I can always like count on her, whatever happens. So that motivates me. Like there's just so much motivation in everything, and we just have to look for it. So I think we create it. I really do. I think some things are just like again like inevitable. Like you're going to be inspired by this moment, but a lot of things I think you have to create in your
Mhm.
mind.
I love that. I tried to do that for myself too, and I don't think in my career I like was able to look up enough early
Hmm.
enough.
Hmm.
and become like who I wanted to be early enough to keep being who I wanted to be,
Hmm.
right? But I figured it
Yeah.
out at the end, and like
Yep.
that little taste of finally applying big meaning to the big moment, and facing it and like stepping up to the reality of it was really cool. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like the irony, just to touch on the sweep in Rio again, your
Oh,
bronze, like to face the reality of like you described going into the run knowing this is going to hurt.
yeah. Yeah.
Then Dallas's head is there in the stands and
I
the
know.
cutout of it. And just like the irony to me of being okay missing a workout, knowing you were going to do your best in any way, like in the early stages of Dallas's life and being a new mom and then getting to the starting line anyway, being so appreciative for that third spot. And fully taking advantage of it. Like it's just, it's so cool. It's such a good lesson, I think, for women, especially to say, do your
Yeah.
best and then show up on the day, and then you won your Paralympic medal, not when you were
Yeah.
fully focused on like what swimming meant to you in the moment.
I think that's part of the best part of life is that we're so focused on what we love and we should be, but there's so many other aspects of life. And when you're well, like when you're the best at each one of them is when you really come together the
Mhm.
most.
Yeah, I like to say put all of your eggs in all of your baskets. It matters. So recognizing all the players that got you where you got to, you talked about your best friend being in the stands always, your parents are there, now your whole family is there. They're wearing Team Melissa and Little Leg Fan Club t-shirts. What do you think about when you're training about those people? Like I think as athletes, we're so wrapped up in like the physical performance, like showing our value sometimes, but it's so clear that your relationships with these people are different than that. They're deeper. How else do you think about like honoring those people who are in your corner in life?
Um, I think it's wanting to like prove to them that their belief in me is worth it, but it's also like belief in myself too. I think it all comes together. So it's like you do it for yourself, but you do it for the people that want you to that have shown you love and support along the way as well. When I was on that podium in Rio, it wasn't just me up there; it was everyone that got me there. It was the people, the family, the friends. I mean, I was on that podium with all of them.
Mhm.
So it's just honoring them. It's honoring that sacrifice, that belief, and just wanting to be the best version that I can be for them.
Love it. Very good. There is a stain on my very white world's medal, the only one I ever won, like last ditch effort. Like that was the one that I attached all of the meaning to, and I finally pulled it off in my like 10th global championship. But you describing Dallas like denting your bronze like made me laugh because I like this little Sharpie mark. I took my medal to a like meet and greet with kids and I was like signing autographs and stuff. And it got a mark on it, but it just means that I've like shared it with the world, and so it makes it a little bit more special.
It makes it so much more special. So my bronze medal, I got home from Rio, put it around my son's neck. He was 2, took the medal off, he threw it. It hit my prosthetic leg, which dented the medal, this brand new medal that I had just gotten. And I was mad for all of 30 seconds. And then it was like, you know what? This adds so much more character to it. And now I love it even more. Like I called it the mommy road, like the medal was like the mommy road to Rio hashtag, was my whole journey there.
Hmm.
And it just made it, I don't know. It
It made
adds
it
character.
real.
I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it.
Right. And the fact that it hit your leg too, you're like, of course,
Even
like,
better. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome. Well, that's kind of like the bulk of, I'm interested in like where your journey has gone after writing the book for sure. But the biggest part of that, is how was Little Leg's 20th birthday party?
Oh, Little Ev's 20th birthday. So for those that are not aware, every year on April 13th, I like have a birthday party for my leg and we celebrate and we reflect. And 20 years was last year and it was huge. I mean, family and friends flew in. We rented out a whole bar. The medic that saved my life he's a truck driver and he came to it. I got to introduce him to my dad. I mean, the man that saved my life to my dad. Talk about a moment. We celebrate, we dance. I see a lot of my friends on the call that were there. We drink out of my leg, we celebrate, and it's just I just love the idea behind it because it is taking something that you know, can be thought of as something devastating, but it's putting a positive twist on it and finding the good in it and remembering the good parts of life and how good we have it and just a day to celebrate. So Lila's 20th birthday, it was one for the books. It was big. It was celebration. It was life. It was just everything. It was everything.
Well, and now for Little Egg's birthday this year, she could drink. She could drink.
Right. Well,
Yes.
so yes, yeah, little
Underage
egg
drinking last
is
year.
is, is
Mhm.
legal. Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible. That's so fun. I love that you do that. Alive days are very important. And your stories in your book about like the people that you share those days with more specifically because theirs are close to yours is really, really powerful. So
Yeah.
including all your friends and family and people who were instrumental in saving your life is of course valid. That's what life is for, to
Yeah.
celebrate the little moments. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
big ones.
Definitely.
Hey, you had the race of your life to qualify for Paris. I read that on the internet like last spring. You did it, made a fourth Paralympic team, and then were the happiest fifth place finisher in Paris, apparently. Will you keep pushing? That was Paralympics number four. You skipped London because triathlon wasn't yet in the Paralympics. Are you going to keep pushing? As a
Oh,
39-year-old who really enjoyed my foray back into javelin, like I'm just curious, is the training
yeah.
balance with family like that much better that this is just something you keep loving?
I'll always be an athlete, that is for sure. I love sports. I love athletics. I love what it's done for me. I love what I see it do for others. Being at the elite level, it's a massive commitment. I wake up in the morning, like in the 4 years we lived here, I can probably, I mean, it was very little mornings that I woke up and was here with my kids when they woke up because I woke up early, went to the pool. My husband got the kids up, got them ready for school. I would train until I picked them up, but then it's like mom life. So it's all over the place. So, and then I'm gone for racing and training. So the sacrifice is real. And so I don't know. Like I think the time will tell. The beauty of a quad in between 4 years between games, you kind of have a year to kind of figure it out. I mean, so I could kind of I'm trying to like picture both sides of do you go for LA? Do you go for a fifth games, or do you kind of call it and say this has been an incredible career? I'm like what's next? Does there have to be a what's next?
Hmm.
Just trying to figure out like yeah, like what's next? Here I am saying there doesn't have to be a what's next. And so I think until I like trying to like, I mean, I had the most amazing summer. I was able to be with my kids without training all day, every day. And we had an amazing time. And my kids are at ages, they're 8 and 10, which they're so fun. I love being around them. And I mean, most of the time parents get that. But so yeah, just I want to make sure I don't miss out on that either. So I think it's just trying to figure out is that balance still like can I still be at the elite level by having that balance?
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And you have other stuff in your life that you're excited about,
Yeah.
which you always have. You put all your eggs in all your baskets. What else? How's the prosthetic business going?
Yeah, my husband and I have a prosthetic business in Colorado Springs. It's going great. My husband, he has turned it into a thriving business, which very, very proud of him or the two of us for kind of taking that off. Still working with Dare to Try Para Triathlon Club. So co-founded Dare to Try with my friends Carrie and Dan back in 2010. We recently started a Veterans to Victory program. So we get veterans, we coach them to certain races. So I'm kind of the head coach for that. So loving to get back to the veteran community, watching over my dog Murphy, obviously. So yes, the business, Dare to Try. I do a lot of motivational speaking. So traveling around the country, sharing my story, being the best mom I can be, the best wife, all the things together. It's
Mhm.
it's it's busy, but it's so good. I mean, I truly, I'm very happy with where my everything that's in my life at the moment.
Very good. Well, to wrap up, I want to ask some like follower questions, some museum member questions that came in prior to our book club and in the chat. So, first one
Please.
was from Instagram. What has been the most unexpected challenge since the loss of your leg and the most unexpected positive element?
The most unexpected challenge, probably my divorce. I mean, that sound like through everything, it was like extremely difficult. I mean, losing a leg is difficult. Sorry, that's my fault. But like very like I didn't the mental part of it. I didn't process how hard that could be.
Hmm.
So that was extremely difficult just because you didn't like I thought, you had this image of being married forever, and it's just kind of this part of you that it's hard. It's very hard.
Hmm.
So that was a really difficult time in my life. The most positive, the best part, I mean, the podium in Rio, the whole journey from like Baghdad to Beijing, honestly, where I am now, like the best part, I mean, you try to make the best part, where we are now because everything's led up to it. And it's life. It's not always like that, but just really proud of everything I've done and where I'm at.
Hmm. I love it. You said in the book you'd rather lose your leg again 10 times than get divorced, go through divorce. So the most
Yeah,
powerful
that shouldn't
part.
diminish like how hard losing a leg was. Was when I now like looking back. But yeah, it was hard. It was very hard.
And the other part was you were, if it had to happen, you were glad it was you and not your fellow soldiers. And that really stood out to me.
Yes,
Hmm.
very true. I am glad it was
Yeah.
me and not
Yeah.
someone else. Yeah.
Leadership all over. And then our final question, is there something that you wish you would have included in the book that you didn't?
No, I think we hit most of it. Obviously it was the book was published in 2020. It was supposed to coincide with the Olympic and Paralympic Games in Tokyo, but that got postponed. So then it was just like a random date in 2020 that it came out. So I mean, a lot has happened since then. I don't think there's ever like a perfect time to write a book because there's like your life's always going to continue. And I don't know if there's going to be a power of choice too. Like, I don't know if there's a readership for that. So it's, no, I think you kind of wish you could write about what's happened in the future, but obviously you can't. So no, I feel very confident that most of the things that I've done in my life are included in the book. And the hope is that people finish the book, they think about their own life, their own power of choice, and that I get that across to the reader.
Hmm. I definitely did. So I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time, your wisdom, and just your perspective on life. I very much resonate with a lot of it, and I know that everyone here listening did as well. So it has been an honor to chat with you today,
You too.
Melissa.
And thanks to everyone out there that tuned in. And yeah, I just really, really appreciate the time.